So, no, I wouldn't say I have a passion for HR.
Welcome back to Human Resources for the People. It's a human capital revolution. Today we're going to be answering Ask HR questions because I'm banned part, I think, 20 question mark. We've got a question out of Massachusetts about disability, a question from North Carolina about pregnant on the job, and finally a Texas question about ethical COVID. Let's get into a comment on disability in Massachusetts. This employee was walking with a cane. A coworker said, "Did you sprain your ankle or hurt yourself?" And the poster said no, and the coworker said, "Well, you walk straight." And they said, "I have a condition." This person said, "Well, it sounds accusatory because they're applying that they don't need a cane because they walk straight." And the question is, when do you go to HR? My plan is to wait, and if she makes another rude comment, to file a report. Do you agree with this? Yeah, that's actually the way to go. I mean, if they, besides rude comment, if they somehow, uh, make any changes to your work or otherwise or disrupt your ability to make money, in any circumstance, that's when you do this. Right now, write it down on a notepad, put it on your notes, send yourself an email, something like that, to just document it. But it's not the time to go to HR, in my opinion. If you feel really offended by this, then maybe that's the time. But I personally, I couldn't agree with it, and I'm not sure that HR would do a whole lot with it at this point. If it becomes a pattern, that's when it matters. The next one up is from North Carolina. It says, "Can I be fired out in after being pregnant and unable to perform my job for 7 months?" So they're a welder, currently pregnant. Doctor decided that it was unsafe for them to perform their job for the duration of pregnancy at weeks pregnant. Uh, Job has given them short-term disability and 12 weeks of medical leave. I assume FMLA right here, although it doesn't say. And they still need time uh, after my child is born to heal, of course. And by then they've exhausted their leave. Can they lose their job or lose it? I, this is really a tricky time frame. The real long and short of it is, it likely qualifies under the Americans with Disabilities Act. That is somewhat up to debate. I think if you had a date certain that you would be able to return to work, I I think you would probably be in a good spot. I think you could make the argument that the leave is an accommodation under the ADA, and go from there. But if you didn't have a date certain that you were going to return, then I don't think so. So I think that that's the biggest point. ADA accommodations for being out do exist, for being out a period of time do exist potentially. However, you really need to, it can't be indefinite. It really can't. And I think most HR folks will agree with that. The next one up is an ethical question about COVID. I probably cannot work in a management position these days. The reason why is I believe if someone has COVID, their coworkers have the right to know. And this is why is I believe if someone has COVID, then they said, as a manager, I know that I could be informed that someone on my team has COVID and asked to withhold that information from other employees. I don't know that that's true. Um, for one, you can tell other employees that someone in the team has COVID. That's absolutely covered under the EEOC. But I'll be honest, especially with the expiration of the emergency, sorry, if of the emergency, like I'm not sure people will be testing for COVID, and as a result, you're long before you're ever going to get in management. My guess is, but yeah, most likely people won't be testing in the future, so you're not going to know whether or not they have COVID, regardless. Um, and so I think this is a little bit silly. It's a little presumptuous because people aren't even testing now when they get it, much less testing in the future. So I really think that, this is a little silly. The the person says, as long as I'm not in management, would it be reasonable to assume that nobody is going to tell me whether a coworker has COVID or not, or ask me to withhold this knowledge from someone else? I, yeah, I think they're ruining their life over the wrong things. It's really not a particular problem. Frankly, I work in a fairly large organization, and no one has reported that they've had COVID in I don't know, a long time. I think we're at 5 months now, 4 months, and I'm sure there are people with COVID, but they haven't tested for it or they haven't told me, and I would be the point person. So it's already starting to decline in terms of interest, and most likely you will never know. But that's it for answering Ask HR questions because I'm banned, part 20. I'll see you on the next video. Please like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next video. Bye, guys.